I'm from Borno State. Mr. Speaker, fortunately, still I'm not dead, and I'm being vindicated by the Nigerians and this hollow chamber. The other time I said, without fear of any contradiction, that substantial part of my constituency is still under the occupation of Boko Haram. I equally went further to say that substantial part of northern Borno from my state is still under the occupation of Boko Haram. The following day, some people sponsored some group of charlatans to recognize that I am equally a Boko Haram. I decided not to respond because I know there will be a time where God can vindicate me through either this chamber or through Nigerians. I equally stress that it's not within the outreach or within the job specification of the Nigerian army to look and search for personal identification of an individual through national ID card. I told Nigerians that it has not been provided to everybody. And the requirement of getting national ID card is for you to have indigent letter of any local government, which is very porous. So as far as I'm concerned, it has not been part of their job, and it has not been described as part of their responsibility as military officers. Sir, today, as we can see it vividly, whether I was the one that was right and they were wrong, and vice versa, only God can judge that, and Nigerians can equally judge today. Substantial part of areas occupied by Boko Haram in the hitherto point is still under the occupation of Boko Haram. I still maintain my position. Another thing, Your Excellency, I'm even surprised. And I will move as an amendment to this motion, calling on the immediate replacement of the service chiefs in Nigeria. Mr. Speaker, when I contested election, I visited all my constituency, and I know the risk I took to follow all these areas. I have sacrificed my life. I am not stupid. I know the consequences of unveiling a masquerade. I may be declared dead tomorrow, but I will be happy to die if my people can live in peace, can go back to their farmlands, schools can be opened, people can go to school, so that out of school children can be out of street. Mr. Speaker, we have to tell each other the truth. Nigeria is the country we have, and we have to do everything within our limit as parliamentarians, as legislators, to safeguard the territorial integrity of this country. Just recently, in my constituency, in my local government, in my electoral ward, where I reside, few meters away from Emir's palace, less than 150 meters away from military barrack, few meters away from Central Park, two suicide bombers attacked a mosque early morning and killed 3 people. Just recently, between Damaturu and Maiduguri is less than 135 kilometers. A young man of 10 years old beheaded a Christian brother from Plateau who was on his way to school in Maiduguri. He went even to the extent of inciting religious crisis by saying, we are doing this to revenge what your parents did to us or did to our parents in the past in Plateau. All these are strategy by Boko Haram insurgents to incite religious crisis in the country. Failure on inability or refusal to release Leah Sharibu is equally a strategy to incite religious crisis. The pastor that was killed in Adamawa is from my constituency, is from Balala, and Balala is a ward in my constituency of Chibok. This guy is a revered pastor, a man of God. They catch this guy they caught this guy in Michigan and assassinated him. They allow him to do a video at the very beginning, to tell Nigerians to come to his rescue. Either federal government, either UN agency, or INGO, or any of the negotiators to come to his rescue by paying some ransom. Nobody cares to do that. At the end of the period, they assassinated that particular pastor, trying to incite religious crisis. So, Mr. Speaker, as I said earlier, and I will repeat it, I am not stupid. I know the consequences of unveiling a masquerade. I know what I am saying. I know tomorrow some people can come for me, but I am calling on the immediate replacement, solely removal of all the service chiefs and their immediate replacement with the competent ones. Because the truth of the matter is known to all Nigerians. They have overstayed, and all courses under them are not stimulated to work. They are not stimulated to perform. They are not stimulated to end this war. Mr. Speaker, this is my position.
Governors decided to launch a motorcon. People were complaining. I was surprised. We are becoming helpless. There is no any effort geared towards protecting the lives and property of our, innocent citizens will not be deployed wherever we can get it. You can, if you throw some mine into the river, if you, place a steel with fire, you'll catch it for him to come out. There's no point for us to be wasting our time. It's high time, Mr. Speaker, we call a spade a spade. This security issue in this nation is beyond all what we are discussing here, Mr. Speaker. You, as our leader here, the Red Chamber being led by the Senate President, you must go to the President, invite the service chiefs, sit one-on-one, let them tell you what is the problem. Even if it means for us to put all the entire resources to protect the lives and property of our nation, it's very important than talking always on the newspapers. Go to social media, see how people are calling us. Because they're blaming us that our children are studying outside. We are traveling to airport. You were aware when some people were calling for the complete closure of the international airport of Maiduguri, so that everybody should be on road, so that they will be kidnapped and killed. We have option. That's why we don't bother. This is what they used to call us. There was a time one young man went to the social media telling us that bunch of stupid or idiot senators and reps from Borno and Yobe, simply because we are not saying anything. So we are tired, Mr. Speaker. This talking will not take us anywhere. We need action. We need action, please. Even if it means we'll deploy all the resources we have in Nigeria to protect the life of citizens. Life of a person is better than anything we can want on this world. So it's better we move up and then do something really serious than be talking without any action. If the military are having problem of equipment, deploy all the money and resources we have in Nigeria to them for them to protect our people. We cannot be providing luxury things while the people are dying. What need for? We're just wasting our time, Mr. Speaker. So I believe if the president can go around with you people within this country, I don't think you will be sitting down in this chamber or for him to be working in the villa saying that all is well. Nigeria is not well. We're on time bomb, Mr. Speaker. So we encourage every hand which are helpful to help our people. There's no point we'll be hiding under the guise of saying political issue, security issue cannot be discussed. We are all stakeholders. That's why we are here. So, Mr. Speaker, enough is enough. We should go back to the drawing board to know our mistakes and then correct our mistakes. But not for us to be talking and living in just like that by the side of this thing. So, Mr. Speaker, it's high time I'm suggesting that you, after this session, contact your colleague from the Red Chamber, go and meet Mr. President. Let you invite the service chief, sit with them one-on-one, let them tell you the reality on the ground. Because our innocent Nigerians are helpless. Nobody is comfortable now. No any other part of the country, you will be traveling without any trauma of fear. That's no point. So our people are dying while we are talking in the chambers. Our people are dying. Someone traveling to abroad, telling nonsense somewhere outside. There's no point, Mr. Speaker. We have to face reality.
And indeed, all the several battles that are taking place all over the country have become what I can describe as an enterprise it is very, very clear that the dramatist personnel in the war theater in the northeast are not interested in ending the war, because the war itself has become a very fat cow that is being milked on a daily basis, and people are generating a lot of money. Otherwise, there is no reason whatsoever, Mr. Speaker, for the embarrassing reversals of the successes achieved, especially from 2015 to date. Mr. Speaker, part of the resolution of this House must include the total withdrawal of all these armed forces in that area and their immediate replacement with a new breed of soldiers to be deployed immediately, because some of them have overstayed in that place. They are tired of the war. They want to go back home. And in line with the tradition of war and deployments, when a soldier is deployed to an area and he is tired, he is replaced immediately. You cannot take a soldier to the war front and leave him there for several years. So, Mr. Speaker, this war has dragged too long. In fact, the civil war lasted for only 3 years. Why should a war involving ragtag, lumping vagabonds last for 7 or 10, last for 10 years? So it's very unfortunate. So part of our resolution must be the total withdrawal of all the armed forces in that area and their replacement. Thank you.
Honorable Odebo.
Oko, Bese, and Mayama Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, thank you for giving me this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I have listened to the contribution made by my colleagues. I almost shed tears. If I tell you what is happening in my federal constituency now, Mr. Speaker, definitely you may likely send a strong team from this parliament to condole my people. Mr. Speaker, in Kebbi State, we are farmers, 90%, 100% farmers. We are businessmen, Mr. Speaker. On Saturday, to be precise, on Sunday, Mr. Speaker, to be precise, there's a big market called Dadinkoa in Kebbi State, in my federal constituency. That market come under attack by kidnappers, heavily armed. They destabilize the business of the market. They destabilize almost everybody in the market. Mr. Speaker, to come to my people who are the farmers, we can't go to the farm, Mr. Speaker, and farm. We are known in Kebbi as rice farmers. We can't go and farm, Mr. Speaker, and farm, because the kidnappers follow our citizens, follows my constituents up to their houses and kidnap them immediately after they left their farmers, Mr. Speaker. Farm, Mr. Speaker. To my own surprise, last 2 weeks, one of my constituency called me that I should help. They can't do anything. They kidnapped one old man, almost 80 years, and they requested for 90 million naira. Mr. Speaker, I asked them, why do I get that money to pay? They said, you are in Abuja. You should come back and help us. You should come back and help us. I said, definitely, I'm a representative. And the little I can send, I have to confess. I send money to set that man free, which is very unfortunate to all of us. I want to join my voice, Mr. Speaker, to inform Mr. President through this hollow chamber, it is high time, Mr. Speaker, it's high time to Mr. President to change the service chiefs. If I don't add my voice into this, I'm a hypocrite. And I'm not a hypocrite, I will never be a hypocrite. We don't have peace in this country. People are set off on religious crisis. People are set off in war zones. We all know what happened or what is happening presently in Northeast. Now it's not Central. Now it's not West. We don't have peace. Mr. Speaker, that's my own contribution. I'm joining my voice to tell Mr. President through this hollow chamber to please, it's high time. We should change these people so that we can have a good architecture of security. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
House of Representatives to make some statement that will save this nation. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I totally agree with the submission of our colleagues in the motion, but I want us to go deep more than what my colleagues just raised in the motion. Mr. Speaker, what is actually wrong? What is really going on over there? We have achieved a lot so far, but for now, it's like we are going back to where we are coming from. Those people that are leading even the army, Mr. Speaker, for us even to retain them for this long, in the comfort, and those people who are there, who are facing the war, also they have been there for a long time. There's need for the committee also to go deep into this, what is really going on in the army. Mr. Speaker, it is not like this in the past. If you serve your tenure and it is time for you to go, you go. But it has come to another system now that a chief of army staff can stay for the eternity itself. Mr. Speaker, when you deliver, when you serve your nation, and for a time, then another person will bring another new innovation, new idea for us to resign the architectures of the security of this nation. Otherwise, we are playing with the security of this nation and the life of our people. It is very pathetic. Honestly, for somebody barbaric, it has been in the past. We never hear about this again. All of a sudden, come again that people are beheaded and they are showing it all over the nation, all over the world. What our nations is becoming. Mr. Speaker, there's need for us to stand up and direct the design of the architecture of this nation. Those who are facing, who are in the shadow with the responsibilities of organizing the army, there's need for us to do something about it. Otherwise, something will happen and it will be very disastrous for this nation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Laws are clear. It's the prerogative of Mr. President. They serve at his pleasure. But, Mr. Speaker, there is something called shame. Those security chiefs, just sit down and think about what is happening now in this country. Are you pleased? Are you proud? Will it be that in your time, this country will degenerate to such a level and you proudly refer to yourself as a security chief in this nation? I think some people should resign. Mr. President's style has not been to sack people. He has been nice to everybody. But you who is bearing that position, are you happy with what is happening? Look at lives that are going every day. Why not honorably resign? Mr. Speaker, I would suggest like what happens during wartime in history and across the world. Massive recruitment and training. I think that is what we need at this time. Massive recruitment and training. Let recruitment centers be open for the police, for the army, in Damaturu, in Yola, in Meduguri, all over the country. Massive recruitments. Even if some people would be got into the system on a temporary basis, we can overwhelm our enemies. Nigeria can overcome. This country must survive. Let us come together and save it. Let people volunteer. Let government open stations across the country where people can volunteer. We have reached that stage. And let there be massive recruitments, massive training. Don't tell me we can't fund it. What are the security votes for? There is enough security votes at the state level, at the federal level to take care of this. And I believe by God's grace, we shall overcome. And Nigeria will enjoy peace again. And we are not going to run away. And God will save our country for us.
Your inaugural speech, where you told us that Nigerians are watching. And there are times that we'll have to take decisions that will shake the table a little. A lot has been said on this debate. I know, Mr. Speaker, that Mr. President, under Section 218 of our Constitution, has the prerogative to appoint and keep these service chiefs in office. But like my brother rightly said, there's what we call change. And people should know, when you take responsibility, there must be that room for you to take full responsibility and liability. If you're doing something We cannot continue to do the same thing every time and expect a different result. It's solely people that are considered are not of sound mind that should do the same thing and expect different results. Mr. Speaker, where we are now, the position we are right now, there is need for us to change our system. Mr. President should look at the service chief, because here we are always calling on Mr. Speaker. You are leading us. The head determine a lot of things that happen. The service chiefs are the heads of these agencies. There is what we call the law of diminishing return in economics. Mr. Speaker, these people have lost touch with reality. They sit in their Oval Office. Now they will sponsor television program to tell us what is happening. And the story they are telling us is different from what is happening out there in our communities. There is need for Mr. President to look at them, look at the service chief very well, make a change so that somebody can come with fresh ideas. We have good people, armies trained both within and outside the country that can handle those positions. Let us bring in fresh heads. Let us bring better ideas, because the ideas that they had is long overstretched, and like I said, the law of diminishing return has set in, and they are no longer giving us what we want. This is our country, like somebody rightly said, we have nowhere to go. It is growing gradually. In Delta now, we are looking for army to guide us, because whatever happened here one day, if care is not taken, we spill over to the southern part of the country, we spill to the eastern part of the country, and where are we going to go? We have enough problem on our hand. I think having curtailed it this extent, now that it's moving, Mr. Speaker, there's need to change the head so that Nigerians can go to sleep with their eyes closed, believing that we have enough people, generals, that can change the narrative of our security architecture. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Jha.
I regret to announce that of recent, there is resurgence in the activities of the Boko Haram insurgents to the extent of threatening the territorial integrity of this country, as manifested by the consistent attack on the Maiduguri-Damaturu road. And this Maiduguri-Damaturu road is the only axis that Maiduguri and Yobe State have to the other parts of the country, and also links Nigeria with the Republic of Cameroon and Republic of Chad. If this ugly scenario is allowed to go, not only social activities but business activities will be adversely affected, considering the fact that the economy in the northeast, particularly in Borno State, which is the epicenter of the Boko Haram insurgent, is already in a state of comatose. And if this single road that will give access to economic activities is challenged, then the economy will completely be grounded to a halt. So it was against this backdrop that this motion was sponsored, and then other colleagues, their names were mentioned, whose names were mentioned in the motion, would also contribute with regard to the security challenges that they are facing in their respective zone and in other parts of the country, so that at the end of the day, the motion will be all-encompassing and holistic enough to tackle the security challenges that we are having across the nooks and crannies of the country. And Mr. Speaker, I also want to add that it's not only the Maiduguri-Damaturu road, even the road Maiduguri-Baga that leads to my constituency is seriously challenged, because the last time when there was an attack in Monguno, we had to use helicopter to go to Monguno, because there is no way we can go by road. There's every possibility the insurgents will ambush us. And then Maiduguri-Biu road is equally challenged. In fact, it has been permanently closed. It was only last week that the Chief of Army Staff directed that the road should be open for vehicular activities. Ditto Maiduguri-Gambaru road. That road is still accessible, but it is done in such a way that about 300, 400 vehicles will congregate for about 1 week. Then they will be escorted by armored personnel carriers, soldiers and what have you to Gambaru. You cannot fly the road individually like that. And the vehicles have to congregate for about 1 week. Then soldiers will come and to escort them for the purpose of carrying out their economic activity. So this is how serious the situation is, coupled with the recent closure and then